And we are back here on Metal Nation Radio, and you just heard So Divine, the new track from Tesla, the brand new album, Simplicity. And with us tonight, the incredible, the incomparable Brian Wheat. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Oh, you know, it's a great ride, great things happening. A new Tesla album. I can never be less than thrilled about that. You know, I was just sitting here thinking when I first got into this business like 25 years ago, one of the very first interviews I ever did was with Jeff, back when I was...
All right.
Yeah, I used to be the editor of the Informant magazine back there in the Bay Area back in the day. But anyway,
I remember that.
Yeah. So let's get on with it. You guys are on a quick break between European and U.S. tours. How did the fans respond to the new songs overseas, and how much of the new album will we get to hear over here on this tour?
I think on this tour you'll hear probably 3 or 4 songs in the set, you know, because we have such a big catalog of music that we have to play. So I think we do, you know, 3 or 4 tunes, and then, you know, we can rotate them out. So, you know, we'll get to all, you know, a lot of the songs on the album, but we won't play like 10 songs in one show, you know. We'll just rotate them, you know. But right now, you know, we're playing like So Divine, obviously, and MP3, and, you know, a couple other ones. You know, and then you got all the other ones that you have to play, all the hits, all that stuff.
Absolutely, the ones the fans always expect to hear. So it's been 6 years between full-length studio efforts. You guys have been touring relentlessly. There have been children born. There have been a lot of solo projects along the way. When did you guys start to feel it was time to record a new Tesla studio album, and how important was it to the whole process to reconnect with Tom and sequester yourselves for the writing?
Well, I think it was last year we started really talking about it, last summer when we were out playing shows. And, you know, we realized that we needed to find a place to get away to actually write the songs, because being at home, there's too many distractions when you're trying to get creative and write music. So it was suggested that we went to Tom's farm in Virginia for a couple of weeks to just, you know, just the 5 of us and Tom, and actually write music. And most of the record was written in that 2-week period. And then it was the middle of January, we came back and started recording in my studio in Sacramento, and it was done in 5 weeks.
Nice. That's the way albums used to be. Just get in there and do them and everything. And that harkens to the Simplicity title, which seems quite appropriate because there's very much a less is more feel, getting back to sort of the earliest roots of Mechanical Resonance.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty conscious effort, I think. You know, it was, you know, let's get back to that kind of, you know, Mechanical Resonance thing where, you know, we went away and made that record in 6 weeks. And this one was like 7 weeks from writing to recording and mixing and everything. So it was a lot on the same line as that.
Now, to my ear, Simplicity also feels like your most mature album to date. It seems less riff-driven, although there's plenty of fantastic guitars, but more emotion-driven. Tell us about the album from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, there's some really nice ballads on that record, you know. Life is a River, Other Than Me, Burn Out the Fade. But there are some really big guitar riffs as well. You know, it's a fine line, that thing, you know, between guitar riffs and emotion, you know. So, but after 28 years or whatever it is we've been doing it, you just do what you do, and hopefully, you know, people enjoy it. And at the end of the day, if you enjoy it, that's the best you can do and the best you can hope for, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to believe in what you're doing, and you guys, wisdom has come along this 30-year journey you guys.
Well, I don't know how wise we are, but, you know, we definitely, you know, we do what we do. I'll say that for us.
So now, do you think writing the songs in advance makes you a little more confident and relaxed when recording the album, having had a chance to live with them a little bit before laying them down?
I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask that. You know, some guys in the group would probably say, yeah. I'd probably say no. I'm more the guy that likes to write in the studio. You know, myself, personally, you know, I like the Beatles approach where you go in with a raw idea and finish it in the studio and get all creative. So But, you know, I'm sure there's a couple guys in Tesla that feel that way.
You
know, me, I'm a studio geek, so I like to kind of throw a bunch of paint on a canvas and see what's looking good, and if it doesn't look so good, start throwing some more paint up there. So, you know, but that's what makes Tesla, the different approaches that each one of us have.
Well, and that's a very nice segue, because Dave Rude was still relatively new in the band when you recorded Forevermore. Now he's really had time to immerse himself in the band. How much impact did he have on helping create Simplicity?
He had a lot. You know, he wrote some of the music. He helped write some of the lyrics. You know, he's a big part of the band now.
And the first track, MP3, really hits home for me, because I've really been talking a lot lately about how disconnected we've become from each other as a society. I mean, we have more tools to communicate, but no one's really talking to anybody, to each other. About
yeah, it's funny, you know, it's like I was out at dinner last night. It was Dave's birthday. So I took Dave to to dinner for his birthday, and it was me and my wife and Dave and three guys from the crew, and you know, we're all sitting at the dinner table. We're all on our iPhones, you know, social media instead of talking to each other. It's really messed up, man. You know, it's wrong, but we all do it, isn't it? True, you know. I think you got to make a conscious effort to turn them phones off, man. You know, I've just rediscovered vinyl in the last, 4 or 5 months. I bought maybe 5,000 pieces of vinyl and got an old Macintosh system, old tube system, old vintage system, and I'm really all about, you know, the vinyl and the old school nostalgia. You know, I live in a 120-year-old house. And, you know, I'm not riding horses, thank God, or anything like that. But I agree with you. We have kind of lost touch a little bit, you know, with the values of, you know, communication and all that stuff. And MP3 kind of talks about all that, you know, about from the vinyl record to, you know, music coming out of, you know, the sky onto a cell phone, you know. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of like the internet has been like one of the greatest things that we've ever discovered, but by the same token, it may prove to be our downfall at the rate we're going, you know, all this advancing technology.
Right. It may be the ruin to our society.
So,
you know, but, you know, we certainly live on it today, don't we?
Absolutely. So, well, here I am doing an interview with you, recording it on my computer over the phone, and, you know, it's just amazing. Before, we used to sit on a tour bus with the little recorder, and so...
Or I'd have to come in, you know, or something, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So now,
but, you know, there was the Industrial Revolution as well, wasn't there?
There was, and we survived that, so...
Yeah.
Now, I know you love all the songs on the album, but each member of the band's probably got one or two that resonate with them more than others. Are there one or two that sort of resonate more with you than the others on the album?
Yeah. I mean, my favorite's Life is a River.
Beautiful song.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my favorite band's the Beatles, so I like those songs that, you know, it doesn't matter what the treatment is. It's just about the song. So to me, that's one of my favorites. Other than me, Burn Out to Fade. MP3 is one of my favorites. You know, everyone that says, "Oh, I like every single song on every single album," he's lying. He's a liar. You know, there's a couple on there that, you know, you don't, you know. And it's hard when you got 5 guys because you got to come to a common denominator, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, if you're Paul McCartney, you can put on, you know, show a record. But when you have a group, you know, and everyone has a say, there's always a bit of a compromise. But those are my personal favorite ones.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's great that you guys gave us 14 tracks there, too. It's phenomenal. Some of the bands, despite the abilities to put more songs on these days, are still sticking with the 10 and whatnot. So,
well, I mean, we put on 14 because we couldn't decide if there, you know, between us, if we were going to make it a 12-song album, which 2 to get rid of. So we said, well, forget it. Just put all 14 on it. Tesla fans will enjoy all 14. They won't care. What, we put on too much music? So what? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have these lengthy discussions, like, while you're making the record, that sometimes really don't mean anything. It's like, just put them all on there. We may not like that one. They'll love it. You know what I mean? So, I'm not, it's like, I was a big fan of the White Album. It was a double album. Some people said it should have been a single album. Shut up. It was 2 albums. It was great. So what? I was a fan. It's like, that's how I feel about, So I'm glad we put all 14 on there because, it gives a Tesla fan, he's been waiting 6 years for new music. Give him a couple extra tracks.
You never know which ones are going to be enjoyed by which fans more. So there you go.
Exactly. That's my point.
So, and speaking of fans love history. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to step back for a couple of questions before we close up. The original 5-man Tesla lineup was formed 30 years ago. 1984 was when the 5 of you sort of all joined forces. And can you take us back to writing and recording that first album, Mechanical Resonance? Share some things with us that fans might not know, a bit of Tesla trivia, if you will.
Well, let's see. We got together, all of us got together after Tesla went to Guam. Troy was the last to join after we got back from Guam in 84. And we wrote songs for about a year before we got signed in 85. And then we wrote songs for another year after we got signed in 85. So the first record was a 2-year writing process. So, it wasn't like we got signed in 86 and made the record. We got signed in 85, and Tom Zutaut had been looking at us since 1980, the middle of 84. So, I don't know. This is a hard question because, Tesla trivia. There is no real trivia.
Well, when you go into
what I mean?
You go into the studio for the first time, you're young, it's all sort of new to you. Obviously, the studio became a love of yours. You've got your own J Street recorders, so that became a passion of yours. But anything unusual or memorable stand out when you were recording that first album that sort of stuck with you?
It was all memorable, because it was like being a virgin. It was the first time, being, making a record in a big studio. We were at Bearsville, where all these great records were made. And we were close to Woodstock, where the festival was. We met Todd Rundgren. I'll tell you a good story. One night, Mick Ronson came in the studio when I was tracking my bass. And, he just walked in, and he started telling me, man, you got to do, overdubs or whatever in batches of 3 songs at a time. And he just kept going on and on. I think he was kind of high or something. I don't know. And I was a big fan of Mick Ronson, Ziggy Stardust and all that. That was pretty cool. And, we met Todd Rundgren when we were there. We met Chrissie Hynde. That's a good story. Chrissie Hynde sat in the studio one day and tried to help me and Jeff name our band, because before we were called Tesla, we were called City Kid. And throughout the whole recording of the record, we still didn't have a name. We didn't have come up with a name till we were mixing. And she was there recording a record, and we were sitting in her studio one day because she invited us in and tried to help us name our band. And she had some pretty wild names. And that was pretty cool. There's the story.
Awesome. Yeah, that's Bearsville was Foghat's label. I remember they did all their albums there too. So I was a big fan of them. Now you guys,
Foghat,
absolutely. You guys have played on some amazing tours throughout the years, but I'm not sure any were bigger than, at least when you were starting out, than that opening slot on that massive Def Leppard tour in the late 80s. What do you remember from that tour? Because I heard it was just mayhem on that thing.
Those guys were like our big brothers. They were really mentors to us. And there's still to this day, there's a big bond between us and them. And, look, there's all those stories about what was going on at the stage and this, that, and the other. And a lot of it was hype. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it was, you know, man, it was a big, huge tour. There was lots of people. Def Leppard were huge. We were just coming up. We were on there. We were playing to huge audiences. We were learning how to, you know, hone our game, you know, and we had to go on before them every night. So we got good real quick.
Awesome. Brian, last question before we get out of here. I recently asked an artist to give me 3 albums that changed his life. Mechanical Resonance was among them. So I would turn that question back on you. Give us 3 albums that altered the course of Brian Wheat.
Revolver, Band on the Run, Physical Graffiti.
Fantastic. Brian Wheat of Tesla, the new album Simplicity, getting ready to hit the U.S. tour circuit here again. We can't wait to see you live and hear Simplicity live. Thanks for the great music, 30 years of it, and we look forward to seeing you on the road, brother.
See you again, man. Take care.